Hey soul family, welcome back to the channel. This is the White Feather Tarot, and in today's reading we are doing Your Future Self Figured It Out. What is their message? Before we begin, I want to quickly remind you that you have an offer from Aura throughout this month, a 7-day free use of the app and a 25% off of the membership. You'll find the link to this offer in the description box. Hope you enjoy this app and that it provides you with tranquility and mental strength. All right, let's get into your reading. So we're going to figure out in your reading today what your future self has figured out and consequently what is their message to you. Cannot wait to get into this reading. It's a title that hit my mind, and when a title hits my mind like that, I really feel like you guys are truly meant to hear or meant to receive this message. All right, so it hit me as I was thinking of the topic that I wanted to do for you guys today, and so when it hits me like that, I really feel that this is a topic that you're meant to hear at this point of time. So let's find out what your 3 piles are today. Right, so for pile number 1, you have the coiled snake. For pile number 2, did that just move? I think it's the wind. You have the wounded harpy eagle. And for pile number 3, you have all intelligent tentacles. All right, so today, instead of putting crystals, I wanted to give you 2 different options. You can look at the picture on the cards along with, of course, the message. And instead of the crystals, I wanted to do this reading today based on numerology. So as you can see, you have 29, 43, and 11. And so this depends on you, whether you want to pick by number, pick by a picture that's represented on the card, or pick by title, maybe even the 3. It is all up to you and how you feel about your card today. And as usual, once you're ready and you know what your pile or piles are, you'll find down in the description box your timestamps. Click on them and I'll see you in your reading. And I just want to tell you guys that sometimes the YouTube chapters, I've noticed it doesn't happen a lot. It happens every once in a while where you click on a chapter and it doesn't begin exactly when the reading is beginning. It starts like a minute or 2 later on. I don't know why it happens. I'm sure YouTube is on it and they are fixing something. And, it could be an error that happens every once in a while. So if that happens with you guys, do know that you will always find the right timestamps in the description box. See you in your reading. Hey pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You were drawn to this beautiful coiled snake as well as the number 29. And today we're taking a look at what your future self has figured out that they want to pass on to you today, and what their exact message is with regards to that. And we're going to be using 2 oracle decks as well as 2 tarot decks. Right, so this is the first card. We see the mantra Ma. I'll take a look at the guidebook because they have the full mantra as well as the meaning of the mantra. But here we see open up to receiving. Wonderful. Let's keep it right there. And you have flow. I love this card. Okay, how about let's just keep it like that, actually, the way it is. Right, so now let's pick up your first tarot deck. Thank you. Looks like we have a couple here. You have the Eight of Cups. The Queen of Swords. The Judgment card. Very interesting card. And you have the Fool. Okay, so that is the first deck. Let's now pick up your next set of cards from your second tarot deck. So what did your future self figure out, and what message does your future self want to deliver to you today? Right, so you have the Moon. Not sure if this is going to be considered not following the YouTube rules, but for just in case, we're just going to cover it. Yeah. So you have the Moon, the Queen of Pentacles. Two queens, how interesting. You have the Sun card. And finally, you have the Nine of Cups. Very interesting cards indeed. Especially with this Eight of Cups and the Nine of Cups. They're definitely grabbing my attention first. So let's get straight into figuring out what your future self has figured out. I'm starting with these two. It's so interesting because the Nine of Cups should be a really happy cup. And so here the Nine of Cups looks like they are drunk, right? So are they elated, very happy, or are they fooling themselves here? Because it looks like there's some sort of attachment to something. And this is even further emphasized by the Eight of Cups. The reason I say that is because the Eight of Cups is a card of walking away, detaching yourself from something, letting go of something, walking out of a situation, or deciding to free yourself from something and liberate yourself and just let it go and go, right? Find your own purpose or find something better. And here it looks like this Eight of Cups, first of all, is blinded, cannot see. They're not walking away, and they're still trying to take something from these cups before they leave. And so we see that this person is truly unsure of something. And this would tell me, in that case, since these two caught our attention first, that perhaps this person or your future self is talking about you maybe feeling like some of you could be, I want to say it in the best way, like fooling yourselves or lying to yourself sometimes about how happy you are in a situation when you may not be all that happy. And you are sedating other forms of feelings that pop out to warn you and let you know that the situation is not okay. But for a benefit or the other, I think you may be quieting down these other emotions, trying to transpass them or trying to overlook them, because you're not taking a decision to let go of something. That could really be in any situation. This could be with regards to your work, your career, a relationship that you're in, a situation that's really uncomfortable and it's giving you some sort of benefit. And because of that benefit, you are not walking away. It looks like on the other side, to walk away is super risky with the Moon card here. There's so much unknown. And look, this card is taking me to this card. There's so much moon. There's so much unknown. let's follow where the cards are flowing towards or taking us. And so here, this is letting me know, although you are attached to something now because you are afraid, here your future self is telling you, be open to receive, because you will never know what is on the other side if you are not open to allow the other side to show you what it has to offer. And there's definitely unknowns, because the Queen of Pentacles has the High Priestess sitting in its place. And the High Priestess is, you know, the gatekeeper between our world and the other world. She's a keeper of secrets. She knows and we don't know, right? So there's so much unknown. While as the Queen of Pentacles is so grounded, it's the earth element. And the Queen of Pentacles has created the world that she wants. So here you can fill up the chair of, with the green here, with blessings or with fortune, with good luck, with your dreams, with fulfillment, only if you step into the unknown, stepping into the moon. And that's the strongest message here. Your future self has decided to take a scary leap of faith with the moon card into the world of the unknown. Usually the Fool card is in the morning, but here we see it with the moon, again taking us to the symbolism of your reading. And in your reading, obviously it is not easy, and I totally confirm how you feel, because we can see it with the coiled snake here. You know, the snake coils up when it like senses, one of the reasons it coils up is when it senses danger, is so that it can see its whole body, and it can, and for other reasons, it gives it power to and agility to, you know, attack. So here I see that you're protecting yourself so much, and you're even ready to attack any situation that is beyond this certain comfort zone. And although it is a total comfort zone, no question about it, it is very limiting, and it's keeping you stuck and feeling very hopeful about wondering what's on the outside. Because although it's giving you something, what your heart desires is right on the outside, where you are afraid to step out. Your future self is saying the stepping out seems to be a scary thing to you. We can see this person holding skulls. It's scary. We see a cemetery. We're seeing skulls, snakes. Like, I'm getting a definite emotion of fear in this pile. And your future self is telling you, although it feels scary to do it, it's not going to be resolved until you've learned to step into what is scary. This is where you're going to receive your wish. And so the Queen of Swords here, you can see, is holding her heart in one palm and the sword in another. And you can see she's taking the right decision to be powerful and strong despite of what she feels. In order to be able to take that major scary step, making it now doable and not easier said than done, your future self seems to be giving us your guidance here on how they've done it. And if they've done it, this means you are, of course, going to do it. And so they're giving us the guidance that works with you. Here, I'm seeing liberation of something. Why? Because the Hermit in the Sun card, the Hermit is usually, you know, being happy on your own rather than feeling alone. There's two different words for it. Fear of isolation versus solitude, or peaceful solitude. So it's in the Sun card. We can see that your future self liberated themselves from a certain need. And this is why they were able to face their fears. So deep down, it boils down to a certain need. And this need is creating this fear of losing something. To get some clues on what your future self liberated itself from, how about we together read this mantra in your guidebook here. Right, so Ma, you won't believe this. The full mantra is just Ma, and it literally translates to the moon. What a coincidence. Let's read what it says here in this Ma card. It says, have you ever brought a seashell to your ear to listen to the sounds of the ocean? All you need to do is close your eyes and you feel the movements of the tides, the dance of the waves, and the breeze on your skin. When was the last time you took the time to listen so curiously and mindfully? This mantra encourages you to be receptive. Be quiet. Stop chanting. Stop gossiping. Stop everything you're doing. And now hear the echo of your voice as it calls to the greatest symbol of the divine feminine, the moon. You know, this right away tells me that the only way your future self is telling you, it's bypassing me as a reader completely, and it's telling you that in order for you to find what this need is to quiet down and see that uncomfortable voice that comes to you in your solitude. What prompts you to pick up the phone to call that person? Or what prompts you to go open the fridge and pick up the things you know maybe aren't healthy for you to eat, or to pick your drink, or to go meet people, or to not do what you decided to do on that day and rather, scroll or watch TV? What is that without knowing you are not listening to? Or maybe it's actual loneliness, who knows? But your future self is telling you they were able to bypass this stage of their life and to free themselves and to get out into the world and to the unknown at least, and achieve what they want when they listened to this sound and what it's telling them. Because it looks to me in that case that every single time in your life, without noticing, instead of trying to figure out that sound, you right away instantly did something opposite to that, to move away from it and to not experience it. And I see your future self telling you, sit down and listen to that sound. Receive that sound and listen to what it's trying to tell you. It is your key, your light to liberating yourself from this need, which will in turn free you to explore the unknown. And this is exactly what you're not seeing in your situation. Because with the Fool, you can see they're holding skeletons, and it reminds me of having skeletons in the closet, like secrets or perhaps shadow that you may be carrying with you and not dealing with. And instead of being fierce maybe on the outside, or being happy on the outside, or whatever the situation is, it's within the heaviness that you're carrying. And the only way you can hear it is when you take away the things that make you feel better for a moment's time in solitude, and see what are you prompted to do. What is it that's prompting you? And now ask it, why do you want that? What am I feeling that I may have been avoiding without realizing? Curing it right away every single time with something else. Because sometimes reaching conclusions can be the key to realizing what was holding you back all this time. And instead of trying to forcefully go through a risk that is scary, maybe even impossible, your future self is telling you, cutting that thread or cutting this fear by facing what its message is will allow you to walk the same path that you've always been envisioning without the fear, without that emotion that is tying you down. And so imagine exactly what this figure here is showing us. Imagine one of them was tied down with a metal ball. Both are crawling out. One of them is going to go much, much faster, maybe even swiftly than the other, who's pushing their way out with a lot of intense emotions. And so the key that your future self has figured out is to, just like the snake, the solitude, being coiled up in your comfort zone. And the length of the snake, as I mentioned, gives the snake agility and power. So use that solitude, use that very comfort zone to show you what it is that you would be prompted to do. If you take everything away in your comfort zone, what are you prompted to do? And follow that. It will give you the key to the very shadow that you haven't been receiving. It's like a two-sided coin. Within the same problem is your solution that could liberate you from it. You can even see here in this card like a journal. Whether you're going to write these ideas down so you can think better. It depends on how you think better. Do you think better when you're walking? Do you think better when you're writing? Do you think better when you have your eyes closed and meditating? Whatever works for you. But it is that one sitting, no matter when you do it, being taken away from the very thing you could be attached to without knowing, that will liberate you from the very thing that has been holding you back forever. Once you're liberated from this need, you will walk next to the thing that was scaring you. Because sometimes it is a need that is making us fear something. And once we don't have that need, we pass it by like it's nothing because we don't need it any longer. We want it, we can get something better. We can go a little bit without it until we find it. And so we're not so attached and scared. And this, my dear pile number 1, is exactly what your future self has done to liberate themselves, get to the other side, and receive the blessings and their wishes. Very, very wise message. Looks like your future self has become really free, and I'm happy that this message came for you today. This is exactly the step-by-step message that I see your future self is trying to give you in today's reading on what they figured out. I truly hope you've enjoyed your reading, my dear pile number 1. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I post videos nearly every single day. And please don't forget to check out my productivity book. It's small, straight to the point. You're not going to procrastinate reading it, but you will find that it has all the key advice and secrets to becoming a productive person right away, all while enjoying this journey. And if you're interested in checking it out, you'll find a link to it down in the description box. And my dear pile number 1, thank you so much for tuning in. Wish you the best of luck. I've personally as well learned a lot from your future message self today. So thank you, future self. Very wise, smart person. Thank you for this message. And I'll see you in your next reading. It's truly one of the reasons I love doing tarot readings for you guys. I get to see wisdoms like that. So I'm genuinely thanking you from the heart. Thank you, pile number 1, and I'll catch you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. You were drawn to the Wounded Harpy Eagle as well as the number 43. And today we're taking a look at what your future self has figured out and consequently, what is their message to you? Right, so this is a mantra card. We'll keep it here for now. We'll be taking one oracle card from this deck. I feel this one. And then we'll be using 2 tarot cards for your reading. Let's keep them aside for now. So, your mantra card is Rama Dasa. And I know in the guidebook the whole mantra is written. We'll read it, and it also translates what the mantra means. Here it says healing energy. And it's interesting that you have healing energy here, because I remember reading about this card. It's a very interesting story of healing as well. Let's see what type of healing is your future self talking about. Is it healing a situation, healing yourself, healing a relationship, healing your career, financial life? We don't know. Let's find out what it is. So we're healing a difficulty here. Your future self is discussing about healing some sort of difficulty. Interesting. So right off the bat, you get to reframe. And it looks like this path is taking the energy home or something. Let's keep it here for now. And let's pull out, ooh, nice, your tarot cards. I see the first one, the second one, and third and fourth. So these are your first set of cards. And then we'll be doing the same with this deck. Which side up? This side up. Okay. All right. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wonderful. Let's find out what they are. So you've got the Knight of Pentacles. You've got the Chariot. Wow, 2 major arcana straight away. It looks like it is a major issue. That's one of the things that the major arcana tells us. And you have the 7 of Cups, as well as the Ace of Cups. Interesting. All right, I think we have space for one more card. So let's do that. We'll cut the deck somewhere and pick up your card. The 5 of Swords. Okay. Now, let's check out your other cards. So you have the King of Pentacles, the 6 of Wands, really cool, okay. The High Priestess, the 7 of Wands, and finally you have, let's pick out one card, we'll cut the deck somewhere, the Knight of Cups. So, what's going on here? This card is drawing me the most, these 2 here. So let's explore this part right there. Does this look, with the Ace of Cups here reversed, like there is some sort of loss maybe that happened? Loss. I'm hearing blockage perhaps for some of you. Like maybe you were blocked from something or something was lost. Or what's the opposite of empathy? Like feeling nothing. Feeling nothing. Apathy. Or if we're talking about healing something, maybe you've lost out of healing ideas or tools or medicine or something. You don't have them. Oh, I get it. You don't have the medicine to the challenge that keeps growing every day. That's what's going on. So it seems like you are in a situation that's going very slow, and it's growing right in front of your eyes, the challenge itself, and you genuinely feel like there's nothing you can do to heal this situation. Whereas we can see here with the 5 of Swords, the 5 of Swords and the Knight of Cups, that not only are you going to overcome this challenge in your future, but that same empty cup that you felt had nothing for you, it's overflowing here. And we see that you have the Hermit again, just like pile number 1 with the Hermit. It is about going introspect because you have reframe. So I think your future self wants to shift the way you think about something, maybe put a spotlight into showing you how you can fix this situation, and that it is in fact in your hands while you may not know, and how you can do that. Because it looks like you are stagnant a little bit here. Look at this Chariot. It looks like it has broken down. Looks like this chariotee is confused, doesn't know the way, looking at their map. But you do see the Sphinx ready, and they're strong. So this again gives me the idea, with the 6 of Wands, you're winning here. You've overcome this in your future. Your future self is saying, we've done that. And so there is something, in fact, in your hand which your future self wants to shed a light on today in this reading. I think your future self is talking about some sort of trade, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But it's talking about some sort of trade-off. But first, let me quickly just hide that because the YouTube rules are becoming much more strict. Right. So, the trade-off. I think we covered that because it was meant to take our attention. That's when it caught my attention. We see the figure of the Sun card is in place of the High Priestess. And as you know, and as is very evident in this card, the High Priestess sits in front of a veil, showing that only she knows what's behind the veil. She's the gatekeeper, in fact, between this world and the other world. So the figure from the Sun card is shedding light on something that you're not seeing. Something that seems to you like otherworldly, which is what we see behind the veil. In fact, the 7 of Cups is a card that shows the same thing. You know, it's like akin to building castles in the sky. And I really see that in that case, the trade-off is swapping some thoughts or swapping limiting beliefs, swapping a belief that is limiting to a belief that is allowing you to reach much higher towards the skies. And so what could be stopping you here is a limiting belief. That's why you have reframe. And your future self is telling you, you thought you didn't have everything, but in fact, it was only a matter of shifting a certain belief that led you far ahead to receiving what it is that you want. Now let's talk about the swapping here, because it could give us much more clues. Here you have the wounded Harpy eagle. And the story of this card in the guidebook is of someone that wanted healing, and he went to an oracle who told him that in order for him to heal, he had to find a specific type of bird that's almost going instinct, which was the Harpy eagle. And he had to travel a long way to find this bird, and along the way, you know, he was tired and kept going because it was his only hope, but didn't know, of course, that how the eagle was going to react. Was he going to help him out? Was he going to give him one? Oh, did I mention the oracle told him that he needed a feather from this unique eagle? And so he's taking all that distance, not knowing if the eagle's going to give him the feather, what's going to happen. And so after a long, long, long way to reach that eagle, that he finally found, because on the way, he never knew if he was actually going to find that eagle. When he finally reached, he got this mixed, unique, special mix of emotion. He was so happy and relieved that he has arrived, but at the same time, he was full of fear because he didn't know what to expect with the eagle. He was desperate for the feather, didn't know how the interaction was going to go. He was filled with awe. And also he had compassion because the eagle was really wounded. And everything changed as the two looked at each other, because they've realized so many things about each other as they've taken a look at each other. Both of them can see the other soul's situation. The eagle can see the tired traveler and how ill he looks, and the traveler saw how, could see the bones cracking out of the wings of this eagle. And in my opinion, so the traveler at the end of the day got the feather. But my point is here, there seems to be some sort of swap where now there's a shift in perspective, and the traveler would, forget about everything, help the eagle heal. And as the eagle flew off, then he got his feather. And so this is why I'm saying there is a significant reframe, swap, a significant swap, shift in mind in this situation. Getting what you want when shifting your attention to the right thing, because this traveler shifted their attention from where is my feather to we got to help this eagle out. And through that, they got the feather. And so you can get that big wish through a shift of situation, because there seems to be a focus on what's growing, the amount of challenge that is happening. And winning over it requires you to shift your perspective. Right. So how are you shifting your perspective here? I'm seeing with a fish, it reminds me of keep swimming, go with the flow. And it goes counterintuitive to what we're seeing, to what we think. There seems to be, first, you don't want to go against the challenge at all. You don't want to resist. And maybe this resistance is in the emotion. Perhaps it's about fixing something first before you move on. Maybe you feel like you just want to let go. You just want to move. You don't care about what's going on. You want to be liberated. And so there seems to be the idea of going with the flow. Like first, acceptance. There seems to be the first message in order to heal the situation and move past it. There has to be first some emotional change. And in that case, it's acceptance. It's the first major key before we take a look at anything, and before we're able to see beyond the veils on what your future self has done to successfully move past it, past this difficult situation. Okay, so first of all, acceptance. And by the way, acceptance does not mean taking your situation as it is and do nothing about it. Acceptance means to accept it as it is now, because you know you're going to be doing something, because you know you're working towards doing something about it, so that you can shift your situation in the future. Having said that, I think now it's time to look at your mantra, Rama Dasa. And in the guidebook is the full mantra and what the mantra means. Let's have a look at that. Right, I got it. So the full mantra is Rama Dasa Sa Seiso Hang. And excuse my pronunciation, of course, but this means Ra is the sun, Ma is the moon, Da is the earth, Sa is the impersonal infinity. And notice it is said twice, Sa, this impersonal infinity, showing us that there is in my opinion, something way bigger than ourselves, that we're all interconnected. There's a much bigger, vast energy. Se means you. So means I or me. And finally, hung is infinity. And so it says these 8 syllables call to the cosmic energy to balance the forces so we can identify with the infinite and heal through it. Yeah, sun, moon. I can see the mantra here, Ramadasa, is a mantra we chant to ourselves whenever we feel dysfunction in our body or an imbalance in our mind and energy. The word disease is in itself the opposite of ease. To be healthy, it is essential to be living in harmony with the earth and its seasons, with the moon and its cycles. Interesting, yes. The cycles of the sun and the moon. And talking about cycles, that's what we're seeing here. I see. We are definitely seeing the idea that there is a bigger plan, and we'll talk about the difference of destiny and fate in a second, but what I want to say is that the universe is way bigger than how we see our world ourselves. There's a much bigger plan, and everything works in cycles. And maybe you are experiencing the downside of the cycle, but just as it went down, it's a cycle, it's gonna go up. And so healing begins with first acceptance and swapping the very ideas or the limiting beliefs that are keeping us stuck in the cycle. As we watch trouble grows, just as trouble is growing, our energy is moving also uphill at the moment. And that's what happens when we hit rock bottom. And so the way to move past this is to decide to follow this energy, to swim with it, by not going through it with suffering, but knowing that it's a down at the moment, and there is behind the veils of what we are going through at the moment way bigger things that you can imagine. Because just like there is a down, there is an extreme up as well. And your future self is coming from a time where there's overflowing blessings. I think in that case, your future self is telling you, it might be hard to believe, excuse me, but it is happening. That you are living in prosperity, great prosperity in your future. And so your future self is saying, I figured it out. And so the cycles does not affect your future self any longer. Now your future self knows what to do. They go through the cycle like a winner, and it does not affect them that much. They've learned and realized that life is a cycle, and that there is something way bigger than ourselves, and that we won't be left alone. When there is down, there is some lessons to be learned or some strength to be attained, which your future self has used with this type of introspecting that they're giving to you to go up. And it's the same introspect that they want you to use to go up and not have to go and suffer through it all. Because with you looking at the map here, you're really confused. You don't know what to do. And your future self is saying, I have the right introspection for you. We figured out that it starts by acceptance, knowing that it's a cycle. You will always be out of it. Let's take a look now at the rest of your message and how your future self is guiding you out of it. Just like the traveler, they had to, for a while, forget why they came this journey, help the eagle, and through that journey they got their feather. And so here, what could be counterintuitive that we've been seeing from the beginning is not trying to run away from these challenges. Maybe that is the perspective that kept it growing in the first place. But hold on to everything that you were trying to reach to. Now that we've put the picture together, hold up with what you were trying to reach for the moment. Figure out the solution to this issue and then proceed into moving in your direction. And this will only first come with acceptance, that there is a little pause here. You know, it's like taking your car to travel and you had a whole plan sorted out on where you want to be the first day, where you want to be the second day, where you want to be the third day. And maybe these are the only 3 days you have off. And now the car breaks down and you are frustrated because you can already see minute by minute how your plans are shifting, and you're angry. You might even hit the car and you don't know what to do. Maybe you're so concerned about your vacation that you just want to leave your car for now, let someone take you and enjoy the vacation, all coming from the feelings of lack of acceptance towards the situation and holding on to the vacation so tight. So in that case, the analogy would be forgetting about the vacation for now and taking yourself to safety and focusing on the issue. Could you Google and watch a video? It might take from your vacation time for sure, which is something that you didn't want to accept in that analogy, and spend the time. Okay guys, I'm back. Something really significant happened in your reading. It's unbelievable. I've noticed, and I actually took the advice of your reading in my situation. I don't know if you've noticed, there was a knock on the door a couple of seconds for you, and I had to leave the reading and handle a situation which I'll get to in a moment. But let me first finish your analogy so that we're not interrupting the flow. And so in this case, this person has to accept the fact that there may be a loss of a day and a huge change in plans. Forget about all that for now and fix the broken car or fix the wheel. Open up YouTube, learn about how to fix it. Focus just on that for now. Accept the situation, because that is what will keep the whole situation moving. And so she can enjoy the vacation and what's rest of it instead of losing the whole thing. And you never know, sometimes you have so much fun and you're so blessed with a couple of hours that you get the best experiences. Maybe you get to meet interesting people during these hours. You get to experience things other people don't experience in these few hours. And some other people could spend a month a place, not discovering the interesting parts about this place, not meeting interesting people. And it could be genuinely boring. So the energy of your reading here is saying, accept the situation. Maybe it's halted you from moving forward towards something that is important for you, but for now it's about pausing, just like what happened with the story here. Focus on the situation and you will get that's what your future self is telling you. You will get what you need to move forward. And just like we see here, life is cycles. Just as you went down, you're definitely gonna go up. And as you can see, life is cycles, it's spiral. The next time things go down, you'll be so much padded, you will know what to do, you will know how to handle it. It won't feel as bad as the first time. So what happened in your pile was that my niece was crying and she had an exam. She has this exam with the school tomorrow, and so they really wanted my help because she was crying. And so I thought I was going to handle the situation in 5 minutes, ease her emotions out and try to help her with the questions. And then I realized that, oh my God, this is going to take a long time. And I started feeling the pressure and the stress. And straight away, I remembered your reading and the advice in your reading, which was accept the situation. Maybe it's time that I pause and heal that situation first and then come back to the reading. And I started off with her feeling like, oh my God, how is she going to pick these things up before the school exam? It started off with that, but I put all of my energy with her, and towards the end, she absolutely got it. She started going, yes, this, that, this, and she got the idea, and it was wonderful. So I really feel, especially the things that happen during a reading, an interruption during a reading or a bell or anything, it's definitely a message. And I feel like your future self, with the energy coming in the reading, was meant to show you a stress on this idea, to accept, to pause, heal the situation at hand, take care of that. Perhaps what's growing here is, if you can see, this figure is looking somewhere else. Sorry. This figure is like looking somewhere else altogether. And so I feel like your future self is telling you, focus on that first. Don't worry. Even your biggest dreams with the Seven of Cups are going to manifest with the background of the High Priestess, come to light, come true in your future. If you pause, accept, and win this situation over with the Five of Swords, you're going to move much faster and you're going to get your cup filled, getting the feather. Remember, it couldn't be any clearer, I believe, my dear pile number 2. And so it's a matter of choice of loving the situation and not hating it. Why am I saying that? Because you have the Angel of Love in the King of Pentacles, and the Love card is a card of choice. And so making certain choices, choosing to reframe the situation, meaning choosing to accept the cycles of life, choosing to focus on it, heal it first, and then move on. With the King of Pentacles, you will manifest everything that you want and more, get a fulfilling experience if you just let it happen, just like the story of the traveler with the eagle. And remember, life is cycles. You're not gonna stay there forever. It may be slow now because there's a wheel that needs to get fixed before you move along your journey. And this is how your future self figured it out forever. Accept, heal, deal with it, and then you'll always be able to move on, because your future self realized that it's all in cycles. It never stays the same. Life, the only constant in life is change. And so it will always get better. Just focus on the right, focus on the movement forward, and it's always going to be okay. My dear pile number 2, this was your message from your future self that is meant to reach you right now, that specific message that is meant to reach you right now. And look, I got 2 little hearts from my niece. Maybe you were supposed to get some hearts from your future self. This was your reading. I truly hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a reading that I upload. And please don't forget to check out my productivity book. This book will really help you out. It's small, straight to the point. You're not going to procrastinate reading it, but you will find in it all the key advice and secrets to helping you become a productive person right away, all while enjoying it, because it's not about enduring through productivity. And so if you're interested in checking it out, you'll find the link to it down in the description box. And my dear pile number 2, thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you the best of luck with the situation. Heed the advice and everything's going to work out, because that's what your future self is showing us here. And my beautiful pile number 2, I'll catch you in the next reading. Bye. Hi, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. You were drawn to the beautiful octopus. The card says all intelligent tentacles, and as well to the number 11. We didn't use the crystals today. We used numbers. Okay, so I believe that's your first oracle card right there. And we're taking a look today at something that your future self has figured out, and it wants to relay it in today's message. So let's find out together what this message is. These are the 2 tarot decks that we will be using. And the first card, so this is a mantra deck. Can you see your card? Yes. And so we're going to check out in the guidebook what this mantra means. I'm sure they're going to have the complete mantra there, but it says Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. So the words on the cards are connect to the universal consciousness. Okay, let's keep it right there. And you have reconnect. How interesting. It does kind of look with the roots here, like the octopus arms or tentacles. All right, must be some significance to all of these arms or roots here. Maybe it's about expansion or something. What is it that the octopus is holding? It's food, maybe. Okay. Right, so let's now pick up your tarot deck, your first tarot deck, and find out what does your future self want to relate to you today about what they have figured out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I feel this one, and 5. Oh, we have space for one more card actually. 6. Okay. Now let's do the same with the other deck. What has your future self discovered and figured out and wants to relate to you in today's reading? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I feel this one, and 6. All right, let's reveal your cards together. So you have the High Priestess, this is an extra card, Shadow, King of Swords, the Death card, the Empress, and the Page of Cups. Okay, you have the Hanged Man, the Page of Wands, Knight of Wands, you have the 6 of Cups. It's interesting that we have the Magician twice here in the background of these cards. Okay, you have the 10 of Wands. And finally, you have the 7 of Pentacles. Let me rearrange those so that you can see your cards clearly, and I will be back. Okay, that is certainly much better. Right, so I believe, let's start with the shadow here, the surprise that came here. I think it's a clear message from your future self, wanting to show you something that you may not be aware of now. So part of what they figured out is something hidden deep in the shadow, especially that it's in conjunction to the High Priestess, which represents the subconscious mind. So it's certainly something that you're not seeing. And on the other side, we see the King of Swords as well. Now, we see something in the shadow aspect. Something is running deep, like some sort of deep belief that you're not seeing, that is deeply rooted within you, that could be causing you to behave in ways without thinking about it rationally. Why do I say that? Because you were drawn to the octopus, and the octopus, they have all of these tentacles, and each one operates on their own. You know, one arm is doing this, the other arm or tentacle is doing that, and they could be doing 50 things at the same time. Of course, not 50, but you know what I mean. So the reason for that is because we as human beings and vertebrates in general, they have like a central nervous system, with the spinal cord and the brain being kind of like the mainframe computer operating the whole body, running the whole show, right? But with the octopi and their relatives, of course, it's different. They're highly intelligent species, but at the same time, this intelligence is spread throughout the body. So a tentacle could be doing something, but it has its own intelligence, but not like us. It's, you know, checking with the mind first before it does it. And so this gives me an idea here with the shadow card taking central piece in this area, You see the moon here, something that you subconsciously, you're not seeing, deeply rooted within you. I don't want to say taking control, because it's never like that. It's bringing light into something. Once you see it, it's not going to be running out of control anymore. So what I wanted to say is something deep within you. There's a certain belief maybe with the King of Swords that's going on, or some emotion that's causing you to behave in a certain way automatically without checking with your rational brain. Let me put the pieces together. I think by now you can already see what I'm seeing, but I like to show you exactly why I've reached these conclusions. Let's take it bit by bit. The shadow, our shadow, it represents this unconscious side of us, or part of us, this repressed aspect of the self, right? And it is an aspect that needs to be confronted, needs to come into the light. And once it comes into the light, integrated, and this is how we integrate our shadow, to integrate it within us. Part of it could be accepting this. First of all, it's accepting this shadow, understanding this shadow, and then either reversing its behavior or using the good part of it and fixing the part that could be harming us and others. So at the end of the day, it's there. When we bring it to light, we achieve wholeness. We make use of the wonderful things about this shadow, the gifts that it gave us, the learnings that it gave us, the power that it gave us, but at the same time, heal what we're not seeing. So it being in conjunction to the King of Swords, this tells me that maybe you're not seeing something realistically. King of Swords is intelligence. You could be such an intelligent person, and you use that intelligence beautifully in every aspect in your life. But it could be within your shadow aspect, it could be to your own detriment, because you're using the same intelligence maybe to lie to yourself, to protect yourself from pain in some sort of area. And we'll explore that together in a moment, but I just want to build the picture in the right way here for you, to do your future self justice and trying to relay your message to you. So you could be, maybe your mind is causing you to be delusional about something, or to lie to yourself about something and not actually see it in a realistical way. Maybe you could be too devoted to a belief or to your beliefs versus being open-minded about something, taking yourself calmly out of this belief softly and exploring other ideas. Maybe you just aren't right, and maybe it's a thought that's protecting you from something, and it could have served you beautifully in the past, but now it's to your own detriment. Now let's explore the shadow and the high priestess. So the high priestess is intuition. It's inner wisdom. Maybe there is inner knowing that's not coming out, or maybe there's wisdom to you that you're using in all, again, same thing, in all other areas to your life. You could be a very wise, smart person, very intuitive, but not using these aspects in this area, which we'll explore in a moment as we build this picture together. So high priestess is intuition, inner wisdom. It could be the subconscious mind, right? We did mention that at the very beginning, subconscious mind. So the shadow of the high priestess could be, you can see her holding a mirror here. So maybe seeing something on a superficial level rather than using your intuition, which you could be using in everything else. It's flourishing here with the moon and everything else. Maybe you don't trust your intuition or your power. You don't trust, your capabilities, your inner wisdom in this area, or your intuition, right? Maybe you're not willing to explore your unconscious, or to go deep into what's going on in this area of your life. Maybe it's an area where you're looking outside of your wisdom, your own wisdom. Maybe you're looking for other people to give you permission for something, to follow your own dreams, or you're losing some sort of power here. Right. So overall, your future self is definitely pointing towards something that you may not have analyzed in the right light previously, causing you to act in ways that you're not seeing. And only through seeing that aspect, which I'm sure your future self is going to be showing to us today, which will reflect back to you with the mirror here, what you may not be seeing about yourself or how you could be behaving in this area. And once you do that, you integrate, it's like you create this central nervous system to what's going out of control as you integrate this idea or shed light onto it. Right, so it even says reconnect here, right? One nervous system, it's unbelievable. So reconnect this thought that's going out of control with your central nervous system, to your awareness. Reconnect everything. This is how you're going to integrate it. Okay, let's now explore what it is in this area that your future self found out about. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm having. Connect to the universal consciousness. Can you not see? Your reading is about connecting things together, connecting this shadow, bringing it to the central, bringing it to the awareness so that it's not any longer out of your control and totally within control. And that's what your future self succeeded at doing here. Okay, how about we check, since we've noticed this here, let's check what this mantra is in the guidebook, what it means. Maybe it's going to give us a clue to where your future self is leading us. I'm sure this mantra card came out for a reason. Okay, so we have Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. Right. So it says Ong is the sound of infinity in Sanskrit. Interesting. Just as Om is for Buddhists and Hindus. It encompasses all the universal wisdom. Interesting when we're talking about wisdom. The wisdom of our unconsciousness, directly connected to the cosmos. Namo means I bow to. Guru is the teacher, but also the process of enlightenment that allows us to go from Gu, the shadow, to Ru, the light. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. How consistent is this message? I mean, if your future self is not talking about integrating shadow and light, I'm awestruck at this point. Dev is short for Deva, which references the divine, as when it describes Guru here. So this mantra means I bow to the universal wisdom and I bow to the divine teachings, allowing me to go from the darkness into the light. Oh my God. So I think your future self here is saying, I bow to humble one's self by having an open mind to say to yourself, I may be wrong. Maybe my thoughts about this shadow or about the emotions that suddenly happened to me, maybe your future self is talking about you losing control of something. Like, for example, what do I want to say? The way you would figure out what your future self is referring to is that same area in your life where you feel like you kind of lose control emotionally. Like when you go angry, like you find yourself going out of character and going, ah. Or maybe you're so strong in every other area of your life. When it comes to this area, you feel weak or you feel you feel like you lose control. Or it could be an area where you're usually, we said calm. You're not calm any longer. Yeah. That is the area in which your future self is referencing here. And in that area, your future self is showing us you're going from darkness to light, which means that the way you've analyzed why you do what you do may not be entirely right. Maybe you've defended your actions, and you could be right partially about your reasoning for it, but I think you may want to be more open-minded about what is going on really internally. And even if you are right about you being hurt, in pain, frustrated, feeling like your power is taken, no one can take your power, no one has control over you, only you have control over yourself. And so how the outside acts is up to everyone, and it's up to the outside world. We can never control that, but we can 100% control our internal world and how we respond to it. Okay. If you feel like you want some assistance in finding an answer to the specific situation, I would highly recommend you use this mantra in your meditation. Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo. I think it will act as a key to connecting to this conscious universe, truly helping you find the wisdom to your situation. Right, so let's move on with your reading and see what your future self has discovered. I feel like these two cards are kind of connecting. Both have the same blue mountain that's kind of going upwards here. And I feel like these two cards here for you are connected. If we were to take a look at these two cards with regards to what your future self is trying to show you here, of what the depth of the situation is, I think emotionally with the Death card is like, if we're going to talk emotionally with the Empress, it's like maybe ending things abruptly, like an extreme reaction, extremities, either too good or too bad, or too loving or too harsh. And I think your future self is telling you it's not about the emotion. The emotion is you're right. It's it's the volume of this emotion. And so with the Empress, it could be things like mothering versus smothering to yourself or others. That happen due to a gush of emotions that push you to feel this way, this extreme. And something that you could be right about, but it's the extremity of it that your future self wants you to realize. It could be causing emotional neediness, for example, that you may not be aware of. It's an emotion with the Six of Cups that happened somewhere in the past. And with the Ten of Wands, it caused you to carry these emotions throughout your life. But the good news is this Ten of Wands has the background of the Ten of Cups, which is the background of happy family, being elated and very happy. So your future self is saying you will not only end these emotions, but it will result you to be feeling very happy. So how? Oh my God. I think your future self is talking about drinking. I don't want to say the wrong thing by saying drinking your bitterness. I want to say the right things that I'm thinking. Drink the drink that you have been avoiding. And you can see the waves in the background here, the emotions. So, what is that? Drinking the emotion, which symbolically speaking, we'll figure out what that is in a moment, will heal the extreme reactions that are happening here. Okay. We're seeing the magician in the Six of Cups planting new seeds. Okay, magician does talk about as above, so below. We're seeing the idea of universal consciousness here. Building, planting new seeds. What are these seeds? We'll get there in a second. We'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there. I'll do my best to relay what your future self has figured out. Maybe it's going to help all of us. Not just you guys, you know. A lot of the times I truly learn a lot of things from your readings. All right, this card is drawing me the most. It's the Seven of Pentacles with the background scene of the Seven of Swords. Actually, I do see something here. You know, the story of the Seven of Swords, the story of this scene in the Rider-Waite-Smith, is that a figure went to the other tribe or the other army and stole the swords. So the original picture is the swords. Let me show it to you so you can follow up. So these are the two cards we're seeing here. This is the scene of the Seven of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles, which is the number of this card, is the Seven of Pentacles here. So what is your future saying through that? Your future is kind of showing you that maybe you should be doing something outside of your comfort zone, outside of what you could be holding rigidly as wrong, you know, because this could be the shadow of the King of Swords, could be being too devoted to a belief, too pious to it, rather than being open-minded. Maybe open-minded. Maybe it's like, no, I would never do that. That is wrong. And you could be right. But think of right and wrong in the right perspective. I mean, it's absolutely wrong to speak to someone in a harsh way, for example. But if they are hurting your child, I think you have to put a stop and tell them, hey, please don't speak to my child like this. I will not allow it. So it may be a harsh way to speak to someone in an everyday life, but when it comes to serious issues, you have to put your foot down and say, no, you're not going to be speaking to my child like that. And if you continue further, I think I will have to separate my child from you, because that's not a safe environment. And maybe even report this person. So it's all related to context. And what could be seen as wrong is, in one context, could be wrong, and in another is the absolute needed thing. In fact, you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna was... I won't go into the story, but I just want to tell you the wisdom. Where he was fighting there on the other side, the other army. They were the cousins. They were his teachers, dear people on the other side. And the war just grew out of proportion. Now it's time for them to fight. And the wisdom that Arjuna got from Krishna during that war is to do the right thing. It is your dharma to do that now. And so sometimes it may feel heavy to do something, but it may be what your path needs at the time, or what is right to do at the time. And so sometimes a little bit of harshness, or what would be considered not completely right in one area, must be the right thing in another area. Because here we're seeing someone take the swords. Did I tell you about the scene? This is a person who went to the other army, has taken the swords, stolen their swords, so that a war wouldn't be created the next day. And so sometimes being flexible and going outside of what you believe is morally right could be the right thing to do because you're in that situation where it's not right in the first place. Maybe you need to defend yourself, since we're talking about wars. And look, just like the Bhagavad Gita, or the example of, the Seven of Swords here, sometimes you need to put your foot down or do something that usually don't see as right, because it will lead to it being built in the right way, thus further avoiding you at one point or the other having to fight back, and maybe things, when it's time that you feel you should do something, it may even be too late. So that's what I believe the Seven of Pentacles in the scene of the Seven of Swords is trying to tell you here. So your future self is telling you, maybe you're looking at this very superficially, and if you dig deep, you will realize the situation is not right from the beginning. And your thoughts about it may be very superficial. I think you need to dig deeper in terms of the wisdom of the situation. Otherwise, you'll find yourself later on acting without consciously feeling it when it's too late. Just like the arms of the octopus or the death card here. Finding yourself, smothering or ending something abruptly or going out of control. And so part of the solution here that your future self has figured out is to sometimes do what is necessary. And maybe that is what you want to reflect on. Is it really wrong in this context? Especially that the Knight of Wands is present in this area, in this reading. The Knight of Wands, does what they feel is right, at least, or does what they believe in with so much power. Nothing can stand in their way. They're going after what they want. And I think your future self is advising you to embody this energy, to have that power, to be stronger and stronger in manifesting what is right for you. And I think this new seeds to your thought. This reading is not saying do the wrong thing, go after what you want, and this is a full disclaimer. Your future self is by no means telling you that what they've discovered is, go for after the wrong thing. 100% wrong. Not what I want to say. What your future self is telling you, maybe you want to drink from the very thing that you have been, or doing, or consuming something that you have been seeing as wrong in the right context. Just like the example of protecting your child. Sometimes what you usually wouldn't do, in the right context, is going to change. Like if a gunned person comes to your house and your whole family is at risk, for example, you're not going to stand there and say, let's be peaceful, let's have positive thoughts. I'm sure this person is not going to do anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, in the right context is what I'm trying to say for sure. Okay. I'm happy because sometimes I end the reading and I'm like, I didn't emphasize on this. So that I'm happy I emphasized this part. That's the Seven of Pentacles in the Seven of Swords scene. To build something in the right way, to have something grow in the right way. And so with the Page of Wands here and the Hanged Man, your final words from your future self are, start a new chapter with the Page of Wands. A new strong chapter of you being courageous, because it's a lot of the times scary to go outside of our comfort zone. Scary to do what we once thought was not the right thing to do, right? Or to break out of our deep-rooted thoughts. And that's why you have the Page of Wands. Start a new courageous journey. In the beginning, with the Hanged Man and the Temperance being sacrificed here, it may not feel naturally right to do it. And you may even feel like you're absolutely uncomfortable. That's Hanged Man, right? Being in an uncomfortable position. You might feel very uncomfortable. You might lose internal balance as you try to learn this new skill. And that, something that we all go through as healing our shadow. We start stepping into new territories of doing things. We're not comfortable. It's a new way for us to look at things and do things. And even as we practice doing things opposite to what we unconsciously, we're just like the octopus hands would just do naturally. It's not comfortable, for sure. And so we see the sun child in the Page of Wands. And the child, oh my God, the child, what we see as absolutely natural, to them, they're starting to learn it. And it looks complex. In fact, I will tell you an example, which happened in pile number 2, by the way. They don't know about this. They only know a little piece about it, but it happened in the middle of their pile. So if you were drawn to pile number 2, I highly recommend it. See, in the middle of pile number 2, they knocked on the door, and I went out to help my niece because she had an important exam the next day. And she was a little bit confused about reading something specifically. I mean, she's so smart. She picks but she seems to have some sort of confusion when reading. Only one thing, it's not in general in the reading. She got confused in the O and the A, and so I would put an R with an A and go ra, right? I'd take the A and put the O and go ro. She does that beautifully. Something with the T, I don't know why. We'd swap the T, and sometimes she would go na, and we're like, show me what T sounds like. And T, so T and A with ta. And so I was wondering why it was confusing. And then I told myself, every new skill, she's in her mind, she's still trying to remember the T in the first place, and remember the letters and remember how they would be next to each other. So I was like, I'm taking this for granted, but for her, it's just all new information at the same time. So this is what I mean by the child and the Page of Wands and the Hanged Man being in an uncomfortable position. This is all new. Accept the fact that it may not be comfortable, that it may not, you may not be doing it right every time. Sometimes you get some things done and you'll celebrate it, and sometimes you will do things and you go, oh, that was totally wrong. It takes time for this shadow to integrate. That's okay. But you definitely should be proud of yourself once you start that journey, because you're making things connect. Every single trial that you make is counted. Every single one of them. And just like every skill in the world, my dear pile number 3. Remember, when you're learning a new language, if you've ever learned a new language, in the beginning you're lost and you're like, oh my God, I don't think I will ever speak that fluently. And then after some time, it just connects. All of a sudden, you find yourself talking, you're like, whoa, Or when you learn to drive, sometimes you're like, am I going to handle the speed stick, the wheels, the brakes and the speed? Oh my God, the mirrors, the people that I'm driving next to, the road, the rules of the road. It's just so confusing in the beginning. And most people, when they're learning how to drive in the beginning, they have to handle so many things, just like the octopus here. And they're like, I don't think I'm going to make it like other people. And then all of a sudden, click, they just drive. And so much so that some people, it's not right, but some people can be doing a million other things as they're driving, and they find themselves going to a destination, another whole destination, before they realize, oh my God, I wasn't focusing. So that's exactly what your future self is telling you. Don't give up in the beginning. Once you've reflected, your future self, despite this reading, wants you to meditate and reflect. You still, after this message, want to go deep and ask yourself, why do I believe these thoughts to be true? What's the right way to respond? The more you reflect, the more you'll be comfortable releasing old ideas and doing what the 7 of Swords and the 7 of Pentacles is showing us. And so this is the way where you're going to manifest things in the most powerful way, putting in these new seeds. And that's why you're going to go from the 10 of Wands to the 10 of Cups, from total heaviness to total happiness in this issue. And it's maybe uncomfortable in the beginning. It needs some meditation, obviously, for sure. But as you learn just like a child, in the beginning, it's going to feel like the muscles aren't yet established. They're not strong. You may fall many times before all of a sudden you find yourself standing and just walking, just like every single child does. And that is the process of learning or relearning something. And my dear pile number 3, I have loved your reading. Oh my God, how inspirational. You totally have a very smart future self that is coming to give you a private, I was going to say a private message, but looks like it's a private reading specifically to you on what they figured out and how they're guiding you through it. My dear pile number 3, this is exactly what I see. I truly hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a reading that I upload. And please don't forget to check out my productivity book. It's small, straight to the point. You're not going to procrastinate reading it, but really you will find in there all the key advice and secrets to helping you become a productive person right away, all while enjoying this. And that's the whole point of this ebook. Your mind's going to be changed forever once you finish this ebook. You're never going to look at productivity ever the same. And it's truly going to be something that you will enjoy doing, manifesting your dreams every single day of your life. And if you're interested in checking it out, you'll find a link to it down in the description box. There's also an audiobook if you love listening to your books. And my dear pile number 3, it was such a pleasure doing this reading for you, and I'll catch you in the next reading. Bye.